That, of course, a clip from A Christmas Carol, a classic holiday movie. It's just one that PSU film professor Dustin Morrow says we should rediscover this year, maybe watch with the family. So Dustin, welcome. Thanks for being here this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
And tell us what, first of all, works about this movie. Why is A Christmas Carol such a classic?
Well, this is the best version of A Christmas Carol because this is the, it's the most, Charles Dickens cared very deeply about social justice and issues related to poverty, and people forget that that story is actually kind of a thriller, the original story. This is a very gritty, it's a darker version, and it has probably the best Scrooge of all time, a British actor named Alastair Sim, who actually goes beyond just playing Scrooge as like a curmudgeon and plays him with real empathy, so that you really feel for him. It's a more, there's more pathos in this Christmas Carol.
A little different than the Bill Murray take on Scrooge.
Although, yeah, that's a great one too, though. I mean, it's very 80s. Just watched that recently, but yeah, it holds up.
Now, your second recommendation is a movie called Christmas in Connecticut. Let's take a look at that.
Who said there isn't any Santa Claus? Look what I found in my stocking.
Heaven help a sailor on a Christmas like this.
Oh boy, a little innuendo there, Dustin.
So that's Barbara Stanwyck, one of the all-time great screen actresses. Yeah, she worked in so many different genres. This is one of the great romantic comedies in Hollywood history. She's hilarious in it. She plays a lifestyle writer for a magazine who has created this fictitious character for herself, this homemaker who owns a house in Connecticut, a farmhouse, and has kids and a husband, and like gives recipes in her writing. And it turns out that this is all a giant fabrication, but when she's outed, she has to create the whole world. So she has to find somebody to play her husband, find a kid to play her kid, so that she doesn't sort of give up the ruse.
Sounds like the plot of several movies in recent years.
Yeah, and it was actually
having to fabricate that life.
Yeah, it was remade for cable a few years ago. It was the only film ever directed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, weirdly.
Wow.
Yeah, just
but
a very
you're saying
strange
go
bit
with
of
the original.
Oh yeah, stay away from the Schwarzenegger
The
version.
original 1945. We're going to go a little older school now with a movie from 1940. It's The Shop Around the Corner. The
Shop Around the Corner is one of the great romantic comedies too. This is Jimmy Stewart, and this was the film that You've Got Mail was based on, the Nora Ephron, Tom Hanks movie. It's about two people that work in this shop and they become pen pals and they fall in love, but they don't know that they are each other's pen pals because they're anonymous, and in real life they can't stand each other. So of course, it turns out that they end up getting together. It's a beautiful movie.
Where do you find these movies?
You can find them anywhere. I mean, they're still on streaming. They still tend to run, just not as often as Miracle on 34th Street or, of course, It's a Wonderful Life. I just thought maybe there are some movies, some other classic movies that people could find besides those. And the thing that the reason I wanted to sort of bring up these classic movies is that there was an article in the New York Post recently that said that 25% of millennials have never seen a black and white movie before.
Wow.
30% have never seen a film made before 1960. So I'm hoping there are parents watching because our cinematic history is very important. It's a very important part of our culture.
Which is why you teach it at Portland State.
Exactly, and you have to, the kids are not going to find these movies on their own. You have to introduce it to them when they're young and teach them that black and white does not equal bad, that many of the greatest movies ever made were made before 1960.
Fire it up at the family gathering, have plenty of popcorn, maybe a little bubbly or beer or something, and they'll be in, right?
A little eggnog, perhaps.
Yeah, that's true.
Dustin, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. Hey, next we want to